Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukatali.
A very good morning to you. You are watching Newsline. Who is going to be our guest this morning? Our guest this morning is going to be Dr. Kavinda Jayawardena, UNP parliamentarian. But the guest is still not here. He is stuck in traffic, according to what we are told, in Maradana. But we are going to go ahead with the show until his arrival. But I'm going to tell you a small story about a Chinese ant and a Chinese elephant. You might ask me whether there are elephants in China. There is, because there are other, because everything is made in China. Now there was this small ant and an elephant, and elephant every day made fun of this ant for the size, and said, "I'm so big and you are so small and you can't do anything." But the ant one day could not take it anymore. So the ant wanted to get back at the elephant for everything that he's saying. So the ant decided to go into the elephant's brain through its ear. And thereafter, you can imagine what happened. This is what is wrong with the ant and the elephant. The elephant, in this case, being the politicians of our country, and the ant being the people, always, the elephants always underestimate the power of the people. The politicians always underestimate the power of the people. So the people are who exactly has the power. So we have to wait and see what Dr. Kavinda Jayawardena has to say to my little story. We are waiting for his arrival. In the meantime, I'm going to take you through some of the news that is published on the newspapers today. The Prime Minister of our country is turning 68 years today, according to the daily newspaper. On behalf of Newsfirst, we have to wish a happy birthday to the Prime Minister as well. He has been able to achieve a lot of things in the country from since when he was appointed. And yesterday we saw in the news State Minister of Finance saying that the President is going to take several key decisions in the country in the coming weeks. He said these decisions will be good for some people and bad for some people. Now, the government has made us the promise that the corrupt will be nabbed and they will be put behind bars, and the legal action will be taken against everyone who has done wrong in the previous government as well. We hope that these stern decisions that the President is going to, is going to take will be decisions that will definitely make an impact in the country. I think our guest is here. We can start the show in the proper structure today. We will go into a short commercial break. Stay with us.
Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukatali.
A very good morning to you and welcome back. You're watching Newsline. We are still awaiting the arrival of our guest this morning, Dr. Kavinda Jayawardena, a UNP parliamentarian. We are told that he's on the way. We told him that this is going to be a live show and that we cannot keep the airtime waiting, but he has informed us he will be here as quickly as he can. But in the meantime, once again I'm going to give you a glimpse of what happened in the country yesterday. Yesterday we saw the President of Sri Lanka meeting with the President of Russia, Maithripala Sirisena, His Excellency meeting Vladimir Putin in Russia. We also saw the President saying that he will be taking, or rather the State Minister of Finance saying that the President will be taking some stern action. Parliamentarian Vimal Veeravansa is still inside the prison and he is still holding a fast. We had Mr. Asad Sali yesterday on the show, who heavily criticized these actions by Parliamentarian Vimal Veeravansa. We also have a situation where the UNHRC adopted a resolution to give Sri Lanka 2 more years to go ahead with the resolution of 2015-30/1. They gave us 2 more years without a vote to carry out the reconciliation process and to make sure everything that we have agreed to takes place. Now what happened in UK, in the United Kingdom, in London to be specific, is of course very sad. The whole world is shaken by the events that took place. A person took a car, drove on to the Westminster pavement on the Westminster Bridge, and then went into the Houses of Parliament and then stabbed a policeman there. This person was later shot dead by other policemen, and by yesterday evening they had released the name and the picture of this assailant as well. The so-called ISIS had claimed responsibility for the attack that happened in central London. Now, the Prime Minister of London, Prime Minister of England has come forward and said that this was in fact a sick and depraved act, and she had said that the location where the accident or the incident took place was no accident, and that it was a meticulously thought plan. So the whole world has once again have the ability to look at where the world is heading in terms of terrorism, in terms of extremism. We too was a country that had to go through a 30-year war, and that is why the country is in the UNHRC as we speak, trying to sort out what happened. The person who was identified as the assailant was Masood. The ISIS claimed links to the incident that happened. He too had a criminal record himself. This is the visual of Masood being shot dead and taking him to the hospital. One of the criminal charges that was leveled against him was that he had weapons in his possession. You see that people watching the incident from the Westminster Bridge, and there will be a vigil that will be held at the parliamentary complex today as well to maybe condone the fact that this happened in central London, what is considered to be a heart of democracy. The Prime Minister herself said yesterday that London is the heart of democracy. We are going to go into another short commercial break. I hope that our guest this morning will be here when we come back.
News First, Newsline with Faraz Shaukut.
What is happening at the Presidential Commission of Inquiry? Now, for the past few weeks, the Presidential Commission of Inquiry has been convening. We saw several individuals coming into the Presidential Commission to provide statements. The Presidential Commission started off by bringing in the current governor of the central bank, Dr. Indrajit Kumaraswamy. Then the secretary to the Ministry of Finance came in. We saw the former governor of the central bank, Mr. Arjuna Mahendran, also coming in a few times to provide statements to the CID officials who are assisting the Presidential Commission. Now, a lot of people are having positive thoughts about the Presidential Commission and what is happening through the Presidential Commission, and we too hope that something positive will come out from the Presidential Commission. We were in discussion about the Presidential Commission with various individuals ranging from former deputy governors, financial experts and political commentators. They all have some positive outlook towards what is going to happen through the Presidential Commission. Now, another interesting thing happened yesterday. The State Minister of International Trade, Sujiva Senasinghe, said that the third phase of the construction of the Hambantota port will be carried out using Chinese funds that are interest-free. Now, as I told you, China is able to construct anything and everything. Everything that we know is made in China. So what is this interest-free fund or grant that China is going to give us is also something that we will have to wait and see. There is another interesting point happening in the country. If you are up to date with the news, there is a distillery factory being put up in Calcutta in the eastern province, Batticaloa to be specific. This distillery company is owned by WM Mendes and Corporation, said to be owned by Mr. Arjun Aloysius, who is the owner of the Perpetual Treasuries Group as well. Now, this group had been implicated in the bond scam. Lots of people are questioning how a company that was said to be involved in a scam like the bond scam gets capital allowances and gets tax concessions to construct a distillery in the eastern province. Yesterday too, we had Mr. Asad Sali criticizing it. We saw several individuals like Venerable Ulapane Thero criticizing it on the news last evening. We have today Minister of Local Government and Provincial Council Faisal Mustafa saying that as a member of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, he will force the closure of the new liquor distillery which is due to be set up in Calcutta. Now, this is a developing story that we too have been following. You can obviously bring in your views as well into the table, and you can post them on our page on Facebook, www.facebook.com/newsfirstsl. We have this story being put up there as the second story of every day, so you can go on to the story, watch the story and put up your views as well. Do you think that a distillery is important, and do you think that tax concessions should be granted to a distillery and alcohol manufacturing company? We are going to discuss this matter with several other people today as well. In fact, if Dr. Kavinda Jayawardena shows up before we end the show today, we are going to discuss this point with him as well. Now, what the former governor, the former deputy governor of the central bank, Dr. W. A. Vijayawardena, told me when we were questioning him about this was that manufacturing alcohol is a lucrative business, and therefore that does not need to be given any tax concessions. And the president too has very elaborately said that we will not be sponsoring or will not be going ahead with any alcohol or any intoxicant materials, because that was mentioned in the election manifesto of President Maithripala Sirisena when he came into power. We showed this on our news bulletins as well, and several people yesterday were questioning as to what is going to be and what is the stance of the president when there are private individuals putting up alcohol distilleries and alcohol manufacturing companies in the eastern province, a majority Muslim and Tamil area. We are yet to receive a word from the officials with regard to this. We saw yesterday Minister Malik Samaravikrama saying that he is not aware of the situation that is transpiring in the eastern province. So does this mean that the cabinet approval was not received for the Arak distillery that is being put up in the eastern province? There is a question there. We saw the chief minister of the eastern province, Mr. Hafiz Nasir Ahmed, saying that he did not provide the approval to go ahead. We are going to have to ask the chief minister as to how a construction is being carried out in his area, the area that is coming under his purview, without the approval of the chief minister of the eastern province. Now, yesterday after watching the show, I got a call from Mr. Shamindra Ferdinando, the news editor of the Sunday Island newspaper. Shamindra is online with us this morning as well. Good morning to you, Shamindra.
Good morning to you.
Shamindra, have you been following the story where Arak distillery or alcohol distillery is being put up in the eastern province?
It's, the Sunday Times and several other media, both Sinhala and English, reported that Perpetual Treasury is given the approval to set up this operation in the eastern province. And it's a very interesting situation. While that particular company is under investigation by a presidential commission, it has been allowed to invest more money, perhaps some other money obtained through illegal means in the eastern province. So it's up to the government to explain to the situation, explain to the public what's going on in this country.
Mr. Ferdinando, now what is interesting is that a few journalists who went to cover the situation there or went to cover the construction activities of this alcohol manufacturing plant were also attacked. Now this is something that this current situation does not approve. The media freedom was something that was promised to us, and this, I think if I'm not wrong, is the first instance where a group of journalists were attacked in this manner while covering something in the country, especially in the eastern province. What do you have to say to this?
Actually, when political parties in opposition, they regularly, they always stand up for the media. But once they are in power, the previous government did it. And I'm not surprised that this government and the people who are working for the government, with the government, will suppress the media. That's obvious. They have invested so much money in this operation. I don't think they will allow, they will just look the other way when the media continue to, now, because they consider this as harassment, right? So they will also, from their side, they will take certain action to neutralize the media.
Another point is that...
We can see...
Yes, Shamin, another point is that allegations are raised against the current government and the current parliament that every time the media comes forward with some information about a corrupt activity that is taking place, be it your newspaper, be it my channel, or be it any other media outlet that is available to the general public, when they come out with certain details of corruption, the government does not seem to be interested in it. They seem to be very silent about it. We don't see any public officials coming forward about this perpetual treasuries matter. We did not see anyone coming forward when other matters are raised. What do you think about this?
I don't agree with you to a certain extent, because in this case, the central bank case, I think central bank officials fearlessly, very courageously told the truth before the commissioners. So I think evidence provided by them over the past couple of weeks, more than enough to prove that something illegal took place on February 27, 2015. More than enough evidence, and especially the evidence given by the acting government printer, Mrs. Lienage, I think, Kalpana Lienage. I think some public officials have acted very courageously, fearlessly, in the face of, efforts made by the government to suppress them. So hats off to these officials and the media also. I mean, the media had repeatedly, continuously reported on these matters, although various interested parties had tried to interfere with coverage. The Sirisa is one example, TV1 and other TV stations also. They have reported. So those who had been involved in this corrupt deal had been exposed.
Shamin, interesting things happening at the UNHRC as well. If I am able to move your attention from here to Geneva, what do you have to say when Sri Lanka received 2 more years, an extension of 2 more years?
It's a very unfortunate situation. Now, many people try to interpret this as a victory for the government of Sri Lanka, but I believe we must not forget that they have given us additional time to implement the October 2015 resolution, which calls for foreign judges and other foreign experts in a domestic judicial mechanism. So it's a very interesting situation. Without amending the 2015 resolution, we had accepted, we have again co-sponsored this resolution. Thereby, we are reiterating our commitment for foreign judges. That's it.
Yes, Shamindra. Now, what was interesting is, Shamindra, what was interesting is that the President and the Prime Minister very specifically mentioned in the country that there will be no international judges or no involvement of international judiciaries in the present system. But this was at no point highlighted at the UNHRC sessions.
Actually, some people, including Rear Admiral Sarathvir Sekara, who is now currently in Geneva, many people have blamed Foreign Minister Mangala Samaraweera for this situation. But I believe the President, the Prime Minister, the entire cabinet, and all these people knew in Colombo that we have agreed for foreign participation. The Honorable MP Sumantiran had very clearly stated that the government of Sri Lanka in 2015, before October 2015, had accepted foreign judges in Sri Lanka. So I think before making, then they must take up this issue with Sumantiran, the TNA. The TNA is the official opposition in the parliament, and they must be asked to explain.
Now, what happens?
Very clearly, nothing has changed. It's the same resolution.
What happens, Shamin, if in these 2 years we fail once again? What happens if we have to go before the UNHRC, maybe during the 36th session, and ask for them for 2 more years, or 1 more year, or 6 months? What will happen? What if we fail?
I believe that this is, now see, in 2 years' time, they'll be getting ready for the next parliamentary elections. So the TNA will ask for Tamil people, the Tamil electorate to vote for them, asking for more time to ensure that this resolution is implemented. So this government will also do the same, right? So I mean, if you go through the Geneva resolution, it's called for repealing of the ETA and various other changes to the armed forces, various things. So nothing has changed. It is the same resolution, and unless we now actually we cannot change anything now. Now we have accepted it. Now it's for us to implement it fully.
So now the ball is in our court and we have to carry on with the game.
Yes. So they will try to explain. The president will say one thing, the prime minister will say we will not tell foreign judges. But at the end of the day, we'll have to implement the resolution.
We have for the last 5 minutes we have Dr. Kavinda Jayawardena, but we are out of time for the show. Our producer is saying that we have to end the show, but we will have to provide Dr. Kavinda Jayawardena with another time frame to come on our show. Thank you very much for watching. Even though Dr. Kavinda Jayawardena was not able to come on our show, thank you very much for watching. I've been Chaturanga Hapuarachi.
Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.